Welcome back to another episode of Keoni Chats. It's since this is I'm still trying to get used to this new schedule of every other week for episode releases. This feels like it's been a while. I feel a little rusty trying to record an intro, but very excited to. It feels fresh again. I'm not so focused on trying to make sure that the next episode gets out. I can actually take my time. I can really focus on the details and while also helping promote Olivia's episode, which was just the most recent one. So this episode, I get to talk to someone I haven't talked to since middle school, and that is a lifetime ago. Let me tell you. So, Torrey Henderson, I met her in middle school, Cedar Park Middle School here in the Beaverton area. She was someone that had a very interesting history, so I knew I wanted to get her on the show and ask more questions about it, try to learn about what it was like for her to be a young mother, a young single mother. And there's so many things that kind of sprouted from that one idea I had when it came to officially scheduling her and officially getting her interview up and going and all the other prep work I do, which fans of the show, what that includes. So I'm very happy to have her on because, again, it's been – I've seen her one other time outside of, social media and whatnot. I saw her at the bowling alley. She was with her family and having fun. So, I wasn't as comfortable with approaching people as I am, now that I've been able to figure out how to navigate when it comes to freezing in the moment or overthinking, anxieties. So I was very happy to get her here because this is a in-person interview. Get her here, just talk to her about her life and see how she was able to make it. So like I mentioned, this was another in-person interview, but this the technology issues that do arise when it comes to in-person interviews, they are still very much there. So for the people that are watching this interview through YouTube, you're just going to see Torrey's video feed because what I did during Alex Moan's interview, it did work, or I tried it again, but there were some issues trying to get my video feed going. So you will hear me because the audio is it's different than what the video has. So you'll be able to hear me, but for people watching on YouTube, you won't be able to see me. So instead of having just full blocks of just Torrey talking, I did throw some photos in there to match what she's talking about. So, a little bit of break here or there when it comes to that. But, I want to continue having in-person interviews. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a bet. It's a really good challenge for myself to see how I can operate an interview when the person is within eyesight versus when the person's on a computer screen. So, thank you, Torrey, for taking time out of your Sunday to come talk with me. And I'm a people person. I get energy from being around other people. So I know it was something special. And so if this is your first episode and you're here to listen to Torrey's story, there are 53 other stories. This would be the 53rd. So 52 other stories that I think are fantastic that you should check out. So when you go on any podcast platform, look up Keoni Chats. The video version of all of the interviews are going to be on YouTube when you search Keoni Chats. So I do release episode announcements through social media. So to be in the loop when those come about, you would follow KC Media 13 on Instagram and Twitter, and then Conlu K Media on Facebook. So follow on any of those audio podcast platforms or subscribe on YouTube, and then also follow on any of the social media handles I just mentioned. If you want to find more creative content from myself, you can go to my website, keoniconlu.com, KEONICONLU.com. It's going to be, once the interview starts, you'll see it in the lower right-hand corner of the video feed because no one else is going to push my website. That's got to be on me. So, check those out. I do photography. I do some blog work. And then also video versions of this podcast episode is all podcast episodes that are on the website also. So check that out. So however you are listening to this episode on whichever platform you prefer, or if you are watching on YouTube, I hope you enjoy my chat with Torrey Henderson. I'm out of breath too.
Come on, we walked up the stairs like 20 minutes ago.
I know, but you're in better shape than I am because I don't know.
You look good, Keoni. You look good.
Please, if you're trying to make a brown man blush, it's working. So,
it's funny because Jessica was saying that she always remembered you by you waving at her. I just remember you by your smile. You
really?
Always smiled. Always. Every time I saw you, it's like, hey, Torrey, big smile on your face.
Yeah, and those high school days, I was still trying to figure myself out, but then I just knew, like, if I just continue being, like, a fun and enjoyable person to be around, you can't really go wrong from that.
Yeah, you were just always nice, always friendly. That's huge in high school.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of people who aren't.
I think also to spin it into, like, a slightly, I won't say, like, negative. It's just, like, look at you and Jessica. You're both attractive women, so it's like, oh, hi, hi. Notice me.
You were noticed.
Like, did you get a lot of, like, rando people that were always trying to get your attention back at ACMA, middle school, and then?
Not in ACMA. ACMA was so weird. It was literally, like, where all the rejects went. And that's kind of, like, really rude to say, but it was an art school. And so all of us that were there to try to, like, fit in somewhere. And we didn't really fit in regular school, and so ACMA is where we all ended up. So it was all like kind of the weirdos, kind of like the unique people.
Yeah. Did you? Was there anyone in particular? You don't have to use names, but is there anyone in particular that really like helped you with that transition into ACMA? Because you went to Meadows.
No, I didn't. I went to Raleigh Park, Ridgewood, and then Cedar Park.
Oh,
I went
that's
to Cedar
Park.
Yeah, I went to Cedar Park for 6th and 7th grade.
Yeah.
And then my 8th grade year, I went into ACMA. I didn't need any help transitioning. I was so ready. I was so excited to go to that school. Back then, when I was a kid, we used to have to audition to get into ACMA.
Really?
Now it's like a big lottery system. But I auditioned. I went for singing, and I got in through singing, and I was so excited and honored to be able to go to that school.
What kind of pressure was that like at 13, 14?
No pressure.
No pressure?
It was excitement for being able to express art every day versus going to a regular school where you don't, like at ACMA, all of our assignments were artistic related in one way or another, which was so cool because you could be creative with turning stuff in as opposed to having to do like a 10-page paper where you just write out all the facts and everything. At ACMA, it was like, create a soundtrack based on this book. Like, it's like a book report where you pick songs out that go with like each chapter of the book or something like that. It was awesome.
Now, for those listening or watching, what does ACMA stand for?
ACMA is Arts and Communication Magnet Academy.
Okay. And when I was in college, I did journalism and communications, so it's very creative. And then I realized during, I think one of the big major classes that the project was, create a slideshow, do something project related. For you, when did you realize, creative projects and creative expression is the best way for me to learn versus, doing the 10-page paper?
Probably right when I started. It was just going into it, I knew I was in the right place. It was so creative focused, and I look at my kids now, and my stepdaughter is super creative, and you'll find her in her room just like making stuff out of nothing. Like, she'll find some paper and like some whatever and magazine clippings or whatever and like start making something. That was me. And I think just being able to express that creativity at school, it just brought out the real me, as opposed to having to do it in a way that I wasn't as good at.
Yeah. And it's such a great feeling to like finally express yourself and be like, that feels good. I like, doing those arts projects. So when you having a daughter, or you're having a son and then a stepdaughter, that's what kind of level of influence do you want to always have when it comes to like her and also balancing with the mother? I know it's kind of a deep question off the bat, but it's like I was always, when I was before we started, actually, I was talking with my partner, and she was asking like, oh, just what are you gonna ask her? And I was like, I think this is interesting that like, she also has a stepdaughter, but with you being a good friend, and how was that dynamic in the beginning?
In the beginning, it was horrible.
Oh.
It was horrible for 2 years. Rayleigh, my stepdaughter's mom, wouldn't look at me, wouldn't talk to me. She hated me for no reason, just because I was in her daughter's life, and she didn't like that. And something clicked after 2 years. I actually have an interview with a counselor. I think it's next week, because she wants to get, intel from different like mixed families, like different step families. And I'm going to tell her the same thing. Like the first 2 years, all I did was throw roses back to her every time she tried to bring me down. Like every time she said something to make me feel bad or to make me feel like I shouldn't have any hope in ever having a relationship with her, I never ever gave her a reason to dislike me, a real reason. 'Cause she disliked me. She hated me. And whenever she would say some crazy thing, whatever she could think of to bring me down, I would say, I'm really sorry you feel that way. It must be really hard as a mom to feel like you can't trust the person that your daughter's around a lot. Wow. And I never once did anything that gave her a reason to make what she felt towards me true. So after 2 years, something clicked, something changed. I think it has a lot to do with she had another daughter after Rayleigh with someone else, and that person kind of left, didn't want anything to do with her, with the relationship or anything with his kid, which is so sad. But I think she realized that she had such a good dad to her first daughter, and that I was part of that, and something clicked, something changed, and our whole relationship changed. She started respecting me and talking to me, and we have such a good relationship right now. We're really good friends, and we talk all the time. If she has an issue, she brings it up to me. If I have an issue, I bring it up to her. And it was a long time coming, because I really didn't have any hope the first 2 years. And then everything changed.
So when it came to those responses you gave her, when it came to a snarky remark to try to knock you down, where did that come from? Like, where did that kind of, like,
for her,
for sensitivity and trying not to, like, because I'm sure it'll be so easy just to, explode. But it's like, how do you keep it all contained and also channel it into a positive direction?
I went to this program called Landmark. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not, no.
It's a self-development program. And something I learned from Landmark is that taking responsibility doesn't mean taking blame. So to me, that means if you take responsibility for any situation that you're in, that doesn't mean that you're in the wrong. Doesn't mean that you're admitting blame for it. What it does is it actually gives you control over the situation. So when she says something about me, I realize that it's 100% not actually my problem, but I am able to take responsibility of it because that's the way that she feels. And then I actually hold some control over it, where I get the choice of how to react to that. And so it was hard. And I've had many times in my life where I've had to exercise this, and it has been extremely difficult because I want to fire back. But you just can't. Otherwise you become at fault. You do something to make them increase their belief that you're not a good person or that you know, have this or that wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't give them any reason, they're the only one to blame. And hopefully eventually they figure that out. And she did. And she'll admit that too.
Yeah. Did she?
Yeah.
That takes like I guess, you know, age beyond her wisdom beyond her actual age to acknowledge that she made a mistake. It
takes a ton to be able to acknowledge that you weren't thinking straight and to be able to say, I'm sorry. And she did. And she has. And we have a really good relationship now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when it comes to obviously like movies, they probably touch base on the same life situation you have, you know, being a stepmom coming in and then the kid kind of being very rebellious. Did you watch any movies? And then did any of that kind of like, well, I'm sure you watch movies because you're a person, but did any kind of, I guess, standard get created in your head from all these movies, TV shows that touch base on what you are going through or you've gone through?
Well, when Mason and I got together, Carter was only 10 months old, my son, and Rayleigh was only 2 years old. And so the whole, that was a blessing. Mm-hmm. Because I've seen movies and shows where step parents have such a hard time because the kids are older and they're like, you're not my mom. I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah.
I never had to deal with that.
Okay.
Because Rayleigh was so little. Like, I was on the tail end of changing diapers and only for maybe a month. And then she was out of diapers in our relationship. And, but she was never like that. Rayleigh and I have a really good relationship. We're, like I said earlier, we're like really creative, both of us. And so her and I are the ones that can go into the craft store and like go into the beads section and like pick out a ton of beads and like brainstorm what bracelets and necklaces and stuff we're going to make. And so we're a family. We don't have any of that kind of, I mean, every once in a while, like, I think it's easy to hold resentment towards someone, and I think her mom still holds a little bit of resentment towards me naturally, because as a mom, you're protective of your kid and of anybody that's coming into their life that you don't have, like, a huge say. And I think her mom projects a little bit of that onto her, but for the most part, she respects me, and we have a really good dynamic. So I don't, luckily, she was really young when we got together, so it's never been an issue.
Oh, I can't. You know, it's just bad that I can't remember the guest I did bring up, you know, like bringing in, you know, the ex, you know, I guess the ex-wife into the relationship. I'm not sure if this was a guest or just somewhere I heard it, but I thought that was so interesting that, like, you know, for your situation, like, you know, if in a different world where, you know, the mom for, what's the daughter's name again?
Rayleigh.
You know, Rayleigh's mom becomes a good part of your guys' family dynamic.
We do like birthday parties and stuff together.
Okay, so you guys can be in the same room together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She'll bring her other daughter too, and it's like a party. We got 3 kids running around, and we're all fine.
Yeah.
Mason doesn't get along with her that well. I'm really like the middle between the two of them, but I'm like the glue. I hold it all together. You got to.
Now, when you were pregnant with Carter, I mean, that's also at a fairly young age. Like,
yeah.
Okay, when I heard about that, I was just like, it's just crazy that it was like you and along like maybe 3 or 4 other people that, you know, our age. Then obviously we didn't go to high school yet, but like our age that started families right out of high school. I'm just like, what? Don't you want to like get your life going? Don't you want to do this, that?
Oh, you're so cute, Keoni. like I like made that decision to have a baby.
I know.
No.
I know it's out of your control, but you know, can you walk me through what was it like telling your parents for the first, you know, that you
yes,
were
I can.
pregnant and
my ex and I were together for a very short time, 6 months or so before I got pregnant with Carter. My parents did not like him one little bit. I was 20 years old.
How old was he?
20, 21.
Okay, so not too much of an age gap. Okay.
He wasn't a good person. He was a pathological liar. He really had me fooled. I thought he was perfect. Like, in my mind, he was the perfect man. He was going to be the perfect dad. We're going to be together forever. Everything was amazing in my life. Looking back on it, I was literally the sole provider. I had Carter and I had a C-section. And 10 days later, I was walking up the stairs to a new position, leaving my son in Vancouver as I went to Beaverton to go be an operations manager for the first time after a year of working at Raindrop, which is my family company, by the way. Raindrop Roofing Northwest.
That's a tidbit that I didn't catch on.
This is going to be in June 22nd, I think, is my 9-year anniversary at Raindrop. I was there for a year. I started off part-time. Actually, going on that about when I had Carter, I was in college. I was going to PCC for business. And I used it as the perfect excuse to drop out. So I dropped out of PCC. I was nannying. I couldn't find a nanny job, and I was applying, and I couldn't find one. And normally I could get a nanny job, no problem. Like within a week, I'd have a new job. I was a nanny for like 2 or 3 families. And my dad was like, "Hey, why don't you work part-time at the office? We could use someone to just answer phones." So that's what I did. And I worked there for a year, and then I had Carter, and then someone was leaving the company, and my dad hadn't hired anybody. He's like, "Do you want to be the operations manager?" And to tell you the truth, the way that I learned that position was because the person that we had at that time was such a mess up that I was constantly covering for him just as like an office assistant. I was noticing things. I was hearing, because we were in the same office, so I could hear everything going on. And I was like fixing his mistakes as he made them. And for me, my family company, I have a ton of pride in that.
And you should.
Yeah, I have a ton of pride. Like, it's it's been my company since the first day I worked there. Yeah. Like, that's my family's livelihood. It's everything. And so when when my dad's like, "Oh, do you want to make like $14 per hour instead of 11?" I was like, "Wow, I'm making a lot of money." I just felt on top of the world. Like, to me back then, that was a ton of money. And I was like, of course I'm going to do it. So 10 days after I had Carter by C-section, we weren't making any money. We weren't going to be able to make rent. And I walked up those stairs and I sat down at my brand new desk and started a position without any training. It makes my parents sound really bad, but they're not. They're literally the best parents ever.
They're looking out for you, which, I'm sure any parent would do that owns a business, knows that their child is struggling. I would think that any parent would.
They were, but I feel like sometimes the way I describe it, it sounds like they didn't give me any support as far as like learning the position or anything. My dad specifically, because my mom works there now, but back then my mom didn't work there. My mom actually is like I manage my mom now. Isn't that funny? So she takes all the calls and everything now. Wow. So I schedule all the jobs and manage all the jobs, and my mom just like schedules appointments. So it's kind of funny because I'm like her boss. But anyway, back then, it was a huge transition, and my dad was like really into traveling. They were traveling to Costa Rica. They'd go for like 3 months, or they'd go to Africa for like 2 months or whatever. And I had to pretty much take on a huge position as a brand new mom. Luckily, I didn't have any like postpartum depression or anything like that.
Yeah.
But then within 6 months after Matt left me, Carter's dad, for another woman that had a 3-month-old baby.
That's just, I feel like, no, again, that's not what he did. I'm not saying that's right, but I feel like if that happens, why would you jump into another situation where you're about to have a mother? That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I'm not saying that like what he did was right.
He jumped into another relationship with another woman that had a 3-month-old baby. We had a 6-month-old baby. And by the way, up until the last day I would swear that he was the best dad, the best partner, everything. He literally just left me like out of the blue. I didn't see it coming. It was out of left field, just like,
yeah.
Oh, don't care about you at all.
So you were kind of blinded by
completely
the love you had for him.
100% blindsided.
Yeah.
And he basically left our family and started a new one immediately. It was crazy. It was crazy that a person could do something like that. And it was the only time in my life where I felt so lost and so confused of like, I really thought that he was like going to be my husband and like going to be the person I was with for the rest of my life. Looking back now, 7 years later, it's the best thing that ever happened to me because I was so blind. I didn't see what kind of person he was, but yeah, I'm really happy now. I have a really good life. I'm a good person. I learned and grew through it, and I'm happy where I'm at now.
Going back to your family business, there's a thought I had. I was like, okay, so let's say your mom's performance is slipping. How do you handle that kind of conversation?
I'm pretty mean. I'm pretty blunt. And she actually has had to tell me before. She's been like, my mom, she likes to do things her way and the way that she thinks would be best. And sometimes I have to be like, I've been doing this for 9 years and I know that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. And so I was pretty straight with her. And she's like, if I were your employee, I wouldn't appreciate the way that you're talking to me right now. I'm like, well, you are.
Yeah. So you kind of have to appreciate it.
It's just, it's, for the most part, we get along just great. My family business goes really well.
Yeah.
In comparison to some. We get along really, really well. We all really respect each other and listen to each other and care about everybody's input. Mm-hmm. But every once in a while I have to be like, Mom, I know you think you know, but I've been through this exact same situation before and I know that that's not going to work. Just, you got to trust me.
And then when you talk to her like after work, has she given you any kind of like affirmation, or is she just like kind of maybe a little cold to you because of how blunt you are? Like what's your guys' relationship when you're not on the clock?
Oh, if I'm most grateful for anything in this world, anything in this entire world, it's the parents that I grew up with. Because as I'm growing older and I'm hearing about really emotional and messed up childhoods that my friends had, I realize how privileged I was. I was at a retreat with a bunch of girls, like 20 girls, and they were sharing their childhood. And I was like, I can't even imagine. I had the best childhood ever. I had the best parents. They cared so much about me. And it's crazy to think that so many people grew up with people who didn't show them love. And never once did I ever feel unloved. Yeah. And yeah, my relationship with my stepdad, he's taught me to be a spiritual person. He's taught me to be a person that takes initiative and doesn't really depend on anybody for what I can do for myself. And that's huge. It's everything for life.
Yeah. And then your actual dad, so still, have a relationship with him. Did you ever, if you don't want to dive into like why they split up, that's fine. But it's just like, that's gotta be hard to like move past the fact that he did walk out, and he's like, there's a reason why you have a stepdad. And
no. You know how I told you earlier, like that I was so young, or my kids were so young when Mason and I got together. Yeah. Same sort of thing. Like, okay. That's just the way life's always been. Okay. Both of my dads are alcoholics. My biological dad, Richard, never has been a recovering alcoholic, but he's kind of a weird alcoholic. He'll like drink for a long period of time and then stop. And then he'll drink and then he'll stop. So for the last couple of years,
he made it like a fad diet.
Yeah.
It's
For the last couple of years, he hasn't really drank. He's just been like a normal human being. It's so strange that he has that control. But then Ryan, my stepdad, is a recovering alcoholic, and he's been in recovery for a long, long time, like since I was a little kid. And they both really would do anything for me. They'd do anything for their family. It wasn't ever, my dad's had a lot, my real dad, he's had a lot of issues in the past. He almost had like, he treated my older brothers and sisters 100% different than he treated me as his child. I had a different upbringing than they did. I think because he was a lot younger when he had them, all my half siblings. They're a lot older than me. They're like almost 50.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying Torrey Henderson's episode so far. So if you're enjoying this show and if you're enjoying hearing me talk, you can check out my other show with my brother, Conlu's Con Conversations, or Tres C, with my brother Jack. And his, if you want to follow him, his Instagram handle is at JAC_BITW. So it's just a 30 to 40 minute talk show of he and I talking about topics that we're passionate about. We're fans of whatever we talk about. So right now we're working on episode 4. We've talked about the NFL. We're starting to transition into card collectible games. So if that sounds interesting to you, check it out. We are available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And if you would like to have a topic discussed by us, go ahead and direct message either him at Jack at Jack JAC_BITW, or myself, KC Media 13 on Instagram. And check it out. We'd love to engage with you guys and see what you think our opinions could be on whatever topic it is. So without further ado, please enjoy the rest of Torrey Henderson's episode.
Like 40s. Yeah.
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
Yeah. My dad's like 75 years old.
Ryan?
Richard, my biological dad.
Okay.
Is a lot old. He was 15 years older than my mom. My brothers and sisters had a whole different relationship than I did with him. But he was always a good dad to me. In fact, to me, he was always like that Disneyland dad. Like I'd go hang out with my dad and he'd take me. Oh, I didn't mention this. Richard is 100% blind.
Oh.
He has no eyes. Like he has glass eyes. And that happened before I was even born. Yeah. So he used to live in Multnomah Village. And he knew the neighborhood like the back of his hand. He would walk and I would get on his shoulders and I would like pull his hair for direction, like pull the right side to go right, pull the left side to go left. Yeah. And we'd go up to Multnomah Village and he'd take me to the toy store and I could have whatever I wanted. And then he'd take me to the candy store. I could have whatever I wanted. He was the dad that I could do no wrong. No wrong. Versus my parents were extremely strict. For me, they wanted me to be a good person. So looking back now, I know why they were like that. It's funny though, because I have a little sister, Riley. She goes to Beaverton. And she's a sophomore going on a junior year. And they are completely different with her. It's funny. Like 13 years later.
It's usually like the older child is, from what I've heard, the test run. And then the second child, like, we got it. We got it.
Yeah. They totally changed the way they are with her. They let her do whatever. They were super strict to me. Yeah. But then my little sister will tell them literally everything. Things that I would never have told my parents. My sister shares with them because she trusts them. Yeah. And I was raised in a strict, like, don't do anything wrong type of upbringing. And my sister is raised in a, like, we understand, tell us everything type of upbringing. And I'm not sure who's better off. I guess we'll see, will we?
So, okay, I just want to recap that. You have step siblings in their 40s to 50s, and now you
all
have
half. I have 4 half siblings.
4 half siblings, and then now you have a younger sister that's a sophomore going to junior high school at Beaverton High School, Sunset High School rivalry. But how do you connect with them? That's got to be so,
With my siblings?
yeah, just in general.
Yeah,
it's like such extremes when it comes to that age gap.
Yeah, my older sister Heidi is 13 years older than me, and my younger sister Riley is 13 years younger than me.
That's just a joke.
And those are Heidi is the youngest of my older siblings. So 13 to, 17-year difference on the up, and then 13 years down. As I get older, it's easier to connect with my older siblings.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They, two of them live in Chicago. One of them lives here in Portland. They respect me a lot more now that I'm older and I have my shit together. Riley, it's easier to connect with her as she gets older.
Yeah.
But she's my baby. Like, I love my little sister. Her and I are very close.
Yeah.
We share everything, and it's funny when you think you're cool and then you have a 13-year-old sister and you realize you're not cool at all. Or not a 13-year younger sister.
Yeah.
So she's 16 and I am an old lady.
We're the same age.
And we're old. To her,
in her
we
world.
are old as can be.
Yep. I'm pretty sure she would see me in this again, people listening won't be able to see me, but I'm wearing like a white shirt with some blue flowers on it. I'm sure she would confuse me for an old grandma or old grandpa.
Yeah, I think so.
And I'll totally accept that.
But have you seen their style right now?
I don't get it.
I don't get it at all. It's what our moms were when they were in the 80s.
Either that, so I was at the BG food cart, which is a food cart pod located in Beaverton, near, let's say, it was the Beaverton Central Transit Station. So I was there with my mom. We were going to go visit my brother who works at the Mockingbird, which is a vegan. Again, these are kind of plugs, but anywho. But
everybody go visit the Mockingbird.
Exactly. So as I parked and her and I were walking to the food cart, spot, we saw this old Volkswagen van that's getting driven by these high schoolers in their prom outfit. And my mom was just like, okay, this van's like twice this guy's age. What's going on here? And then their style when they start walking around, it's very much like a combination of like what's going on now. It's like they're wearing Nike shoes and their like ties not perfectly like tight on their neck or firm on the neck. It's like very relaxed. And I'm just like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
So
weird. Okay, to be fair though, prom this year was weird because of COVID.
Last 2 years probably. Well, I'm pretty sure
last year there was
canceled.
no prom. This year they're having like buddy prom and all sorts of strange proms. I've seen actually some parents on my Facebook, older parents, like hosting proms so that their kids can have a prom because they wouldn't have otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And they rent out like a venue and have like 10 kids come all dressed up and get to dance, and they have a DJ and all that. Just so that their kids can get to have that experience. It's really actually sad for seniors.
Yeah.
Especially last year because they didn't get to have that experience. My class at ACMA was a class of 52 seniors. Not a lot of any class because we had middle school and high school all together, and it was a really small school.
Yeah.
But anyway, I still feel like I had the senior experience. I went to prom at Sunset. I went to prom at ACMA. I went to prom actually when I was a junior at Tualatin High.
How did that happen?
I had a boyfriend.
Okay.
I went to Tualatin.
Okay.
In junior year.
It's like ACMA, I got it. Sunset, like I got it. You're close to the middle school you went to. But then Tualatin, I'm like,
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Do you remember Tyler Wallace?
Yeah. He texted me one day, and it was kind of frustrating because he can, he has a whole like entrepreneur like mindset. He's like posting pictures of himself with like all these
on stage.
Yeah, on stage, or just like with fancy cars. And then he called me one day. He's like, "Hey man, I need you to do this." I'm like, "Well, I'm having dinner with my family, so it's gonna be a pass." He's like, "Oh well, this is probably the last conversation I had with him." And he's like, "Oh well, I thought you were a go-getter. You just proved me wrong." I'm just like, oh, "Okay, we're done here." I was like,
Yeah.
So like I know the guy, but I don't want to talk. I haven't talked to him. No offense, Tyler, if you're listening, but it's just was he the guy you were?
I was with Tyler like my whole senior year.
Okay.
Or yeah, it must have been. Wait a minute. Okay, hang on. It must have been sophomore, junior, because then I went to Tualatin senior year. That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was like my high school sweetheart, Steven.
So if some people could argue, you had 3 senior year experiences with the proms, for example. That's
yeah, maybe even
something to hang your hat on.
4. Yeah, because I think I went to mine 2 years. So ACMA, Sunset, Tualatin,
Look
proms.
at you.
4 different proms.
Look at you.
I was into that. That was fun for me. I like that. I mean, when you go to an art school, a small art school, you miss out on a lot. Like, we didn't have our own school sports and stuff. So I definitely fed off of Sunsets. Everything Sunset. I was always there for it. Just to kind of get that experience.
And then, have you seen ACMA recently?
Yeah.
The new renovations and the...
Yeah, I know about it. Actually, I haven't seen any of the new renovations. My senior year, they built the big auditorium. In fact, I did my senior capstone in there, which is like your presentation of your what you've done so far, what you plan to do, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. It was an hour-long show, basically, of me just talking about myself, which is what I love to do.
I mean, we're going to be talking about like an hour and 20, maybe hour 30. So, I mean, you got practice long before you actually got to this part.
Yes. I have a script too. If you want me to just read my script.
Do you still have that now, or is it that?
Oh, yeah.
What?
I saved all my stuff from high school. I loved high school. It was a good time.
But okay, so rewinding a little bit, you did mention that once, because you mentioned about Carter's dad leaving high and dry, and then you kind of got to a dark spot. Can you explain what that dark spot was? Because I dealt with a breakup. Obviously, it wasn't as extreme as yours was, and I know I had my dark spot where like I was drinking, but I was at home drinking, so obviously I was being safe. Plus, it's cheaper, so I had that.
It's also more depressing.
a little bit. But what was that? You know, if you don't want to go into details,
No,
again, that's
it's
fine.
fine.
But what was that dark part of your life like?
Yeah, I'll share. Luckily, I had my parents. I had to get out of my apartment lease, and it was like $2,700 or something like that just to get out of my Vancouver apartment lease. Part of it was just that like closure.
Oh yeah, you can't stay there.
Yeah. So I got out of that. I moved back home with my parents, which was such a slap in the face because, you feel like you're doing good. You got your own place. You're like 21 years old and you got an okay job. You're making okay money. Like you feel like you have done something to get to where you're at, and then you have to move back in with your parents. And it's just like, ugh. And
giant exhale, like God.
Yeah. But they were there for me. They helped me through that time. I remember Carter was 6 months old. So I had only been in my position for 6 months because remember I started 10 days after he was born in that position. And I was running 10 crews, which if you know anything about construction, it takes a lot for one job, but I had literally 10 crews going on in a week doing anywhere between 10 to 15 jobs. That's a lot of work. And when you're so sad with your life because everything just blew up, I just remember work being like me being like, okay, it's 6 o'clock. I should probably go home.
Yeah.
And just bawling at my desk. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be able to pull myself together and mom now? Because Carter's at home waiting for me. And
you're like, how do I like leave all my frustrations at the door before I actually enter into the house and be present and just show Carter love unconditionally?
And it was the only time in my life that I've ever felt like I wanted to die. And it was very short-lived, luckily. I got over it really quickly, relatively, you know, because some people can be depressed for a very long time when something like that happens. I think it only lasted a few weeks and I got over it. I think I realized it clicked. Holy smokes, this guy was really terrible. What was I thinking? But the only thing that kept me from getting to that place was realizing that I had a son that needed me, and without me he'd have nothing. Because not only when he left, he didn't just leave me, he just picked up and left Carter. And that was crazy to me because I never once thought that he was that kind of guy. Like, even if we broke up, I never once thought that he would just abandon his child, and he did. And he's there for Carter very rarely whenever it's convenient for him. And what I've had to do over the years, I let Carter see him whenever he wants to see him. And the reason why is because I realized Carter actually really values that. And I wouldn't want to take that away from him because I wouldn't want him to feel like in the future when he grows up and he can think more about this sort of thing, I wouldn't ever want him to feel like he did anything wrong or like he was inadequate or like he wasn't deserving of love from a parent. And so when Matt randomly comes back and says that he wants to see Carter or whatever, I actually set it up because I want Carter to know that he's not abandoned.
And it's on your terms. As far as like the meeting and then how it's conducted, it's on your terms. It's not spontaneous.
Yeah. I guess that's probably my biggest worry. Is that my son feels like he was abandoned by a parent. Now let me say though that Mason has been daddy. Like since Carter was 10 months old, he's always been there. Carter calls him daddy. He has since like we were together for like a year. He's always called him dad. And he loves him like his own. He cares for him like his own. He treats him like his own. He's a good person and a good dad. And Carter doesn't have any deficiency with Mason being in the picture. He's got that father figure. But yeah, I still let Matt come around whenever he pleases because I want Carter to know that he has all the love in the world. Yeah.
So, on this show, like I do like to touch base on like how people's thinkings get processed. For you, like I don't even know where to ask the question of like how did you make it to here, but it's also like just taking that situation of like always making sure Carter knows that his dad's it's not his fault. It's the dad that Matt that chose to leave. Like, how is that on your mental well-being and just trying to always like process that?
Keoni, it is so. At times, it has been so hard. I've wanted to block it out 100% and just never have to talk to him or deal with him ever again because it's painful. But as a parent, you have to put your child first. Yeah. No matter what. And I think that that's something that people don't realize a lot. People who are going through breakups or divorces, they are selfish sometimes. And all they think about is their feelings. And they don't think about how their child is going to take it either in that time or even later in life. That's trauma. When you're an adult, trauma comes back from your childhood and you react to things based on things that happened to you in your childhood. And all parents need to think about the way that everything that they do creates the way that their child thinks about themselves. And if you don't think about your child first in the way that they're going to take the situation, then you're just being selfish. So at times when I've wanted to completely block him out, I've thought about how Carter still really loves him and cares about him. And to me, as a grown adult who can see the situation from, from afar or whatever, looking down at it, basically, it's hard for me to understand because he's never been there.
Yeah.
Like how does Carter even really know who he is? He's just randomly there every once in a while. But to Carter, he means something to him.
Yeah. And I'm sure like his memory of his dad is just of those moments where
it is.
You're coordinating it. He's in a good like mood, or he's trying to be kind.
He's happy to see him.
To some degree,
and of course, if he wants to see him, he's going to be like on his best behavior and be nice and all that stuff.
Yeah. So to some degree, and like, I'd hate to say it's kind of a tainted memory, some degree, but
yeah. And just, there's something about your biological parent. They're connected to you.
Oh yeah.
No matter what, they can be the worst person in the world, and you still love them because they're your parent.
Because you'll see like they have some good in them, or you'll just know like,
even if they don't, they're your parent. You just have that connection with them. And so I wouldn't want to take that away from him. Even if he was a terrible person, I would still, he's not a terrible person. He doesn't have his priorities straight.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's then, you and I have had that kind of moments in our upbringings where we're thinking, oh, we can go to this dance, or I can focus on like homework. I'm going to go to the dance. And, it's
priorities.
It's always a work in progress, just to make sure like we are always, facing the right thing versus like something that could wait. It's like, oof. But so after, how much time did it take for you to be trusting of men again? Because, with that kind of situation, I could easily see you, potentially just swearing off men altogether or, waiting as long as you wanted to. But how was that kind of dating process when it came to being a mom?
That's a really good question. The person that I was when I was 16 through 22 is 1000% different than if the same exact thing happened to me at my age now, 29, 23 through unlimited. You know how I told you that I got over it like within a few weeks? That was, I don't know if I really knew what love was. And I don't know if I really knew how relationships should be, or like how I should be, how I should act in a new relationship. So to answer your question, I didn't swear off men. I didn't really protect my heart at all. I pretty much just dove right back in. However, now, if the same thing were to happen to me, I would probably be swearing off men and protecting myself and taking stuff really slow. But the only thing I knew was just being with someone. Yeah. Whoever it was, I was always wanting to be in a relationship. I don't know if it gave me validation or if I was really bad at being independent. But it's funny because the relationship that I'm in now with Mason, he's literally taught me to be independent. And that's really crazy that you can be with someone, you can be in a relationship with someone and still learn that. Yeah. And it's because every single guy that I was ever with was like, we were obsessed with each other. I
remember those phases too, when
it was a high school mentality of a relationship. Mm-hmm. And now, being older and being with someone who's very, I keep saying dependent, very independent, and very like, he can do whatever on his own. He doesn't need anybody. And he's taught me to be the same way. We ask each other for advice on certain things. We're both really like business people. Mm-hmm. But he's never been obsessed with me. It's never been what's the word? Like, we've never been.
Infatuation, and just because I've had that experience with these, like, I'm in a relationship now, but like two prior, where it was just like I was infatuated with these people for
Infatuation. That's the word.
Yeah. So
we've
like,
never been infatuated with each other. We've had like an adult relationship.
Yeah.
Like a grown up.
I want to see you, but also I have things I need to do that
Right.
doesn't include you. So
Yeah.
I'm in that relationship now where it's like, we were talking about this off air, where we have our own independent days, and and we also have boundaries, because there are times where I'll say I can't text her, when I'm like, I can't text her as often when I'm at work, or I'm driving, or I'm doing this,
Mm-hmm.
talking to you, for example.
Yeah.
And she's like, I understand that, and then it's a relief to like know, like, oh yeah, I can still be my own person and still be in a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure even to just have another woman in your house and have her, not have somebody that's like, what, like, that's that has a problem with it, basically.
She might be mad at me, but like I told her, like, oh yeah, she's coming over doing the interview. She's like, oh, she did show a little bit of concern, but I was like, honey, she's in a relationship. She has a son and a stepdaughter. She's 100% committed to that relationship.
Yeah.
And then I'm 100% committed to her. So it's like 100%. We do not want to screw that up for ourselves.
Right. Well, adults can have friends of opposite genders.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. And so, you're in this relationship now. I feel like no one's going to be completely done rebuilding themselves after facing what you face or facing what I face.
No, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah, exactly. If we're not growing, we're dying. Or, I was going to make a joke, but I lost it. So
edit that out.
So along with the roofing company, you also went through this giant, weight management, body image improvement. So my process, again, for people that have, watched or listened to the show, I deep dive on people's social medias, because that's the best way I can get understanding.
Oh, yeah.
I did see a photo of you that made me think of something this next thing I want to talk to you about. But, you were, I think, floating down the river, and then you're in your bikini, obviously, because it's a hot day, and you had your hand over your stomach because you're hiding it. So it's just like, okay, that kind of gave me a flag that she had a negative image of her own body. So now fast forward to, I don't know, let's say last week or something like that, where you are posting yourself, you're in your like sports bra, like flexing in front of the mirror. That's such a growth. Holy smokes.
Yeah. I've had a battle with that. Still do.
Mm-hmm.
Right now at this very moment where I'm at is I'm living life.
Yeah.
I'm not hard on myself.
You have some cake. It's not the worst thing in the world.
I'll eat a whole ass slice of cake. I will go to spin class on Saturday morning with my girlfriends, and then we'll go to brunch, and I'll eat potatoes and mimosas and have mimosas afterward.
Ooh.
And like the Kardashians say, I'm just living life. but for real though, it really, what I've realized is the way that I treat myself, and the way that I look at myself and the way that I discipline myself, it's a season. Like whatever season I'm in, sometimes I will go really hard and I won't eat a single thing that's bad for me, and I'll work out twice a day, 45 minutes a day, workout, and I'll like I did 75 hard, which is really intense. If you don't know what 75 hard is, go to 75hard.com.
There's a plug.
It tells you all about it. Andy Frisella created it. He didn't think that more than a handful of people would do it. Turns out like, thousands and thousands of people have done this very intense program. I've done that twice. It's 75 days. If you mess up one thing, you have to start over on day one again.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to drink a gallon of water a day. You have to work out twice a day, 45 minutes each. One of them has to be outside. So I started on January 1st. Remember when we had that snowstorm?
Yeah.
had to do my workout.
Ooh.
Where I lived in Southeast Portland, which over here, I guess it was a lot of ice.
Yeah.
But in Southeast Portland, we had a foot of snow. So I got the
pleasure.
pleasure.
It was a blend. It was kind of a blend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I got the pleasure of doing my outdoor workout in a foot of snow. That was quite the resistance training.
Keoni Chats is proudly sponsored by Cove Hard Yerba Mate. Josh Mackler is a good friend and former guest of the show, and after his episode where he talked about the origins of Cove, I was very curious as to what yerba mate tasted like in general. So after getting a baseline understanding of yerba mate, I thought let's knock this up a little bit and let's add some alcohol. So at the time of this recording, Portland, Oregon is hitting about an 80 to 90 degree heat wave. So what better way to cool down, feel a little looser, but also feel lighter than to have some of Cove's hard yerba mate. So to try some of Josh's yerba mate, go to hardyyerbamate.com, HARDYERBAMATE.com. Look around, create a cart including all 4 of their flavors, the berry, lemonade, mango colada, and a mojito. And then before you check out, use the discount code Keoni Chats Cove, KEONICHATS for 25% off your total purchase. That is huge. Thank you to Josh and the people at Cove for supplying this discount code for the fans of the Keoni Chats podcast to try and experience what another way to feel a little looser during the hot summer days could be like. Because there are those hard seltzers of the world, but I think this is another great way to feel a little looser, but also feel a little lighter. So go to hardyyerbamate.com, HARDYERBAMATE.com. Discount code Keoni Chats Cove, KEONICHATS KOVE, 25% off, and you must be 21 years and older to purchase any alcohol from Cove. But if you want to purchase a shirt or whatnot, you can still use the discount code. And everyone, please enjoy responsibly.
You have to do 2 45-minute workouts per day. One of them has to be outside. You have to stick to a diet. You cannot even eat an M&M for 75 days straight. You have to read 10 pages in a self-improvement or like self-bettering book or an entrepreneurial book per day. You have to take a progress picture every day. You can't drink any alcohol for the full 75 days. There's a bunch of requirements.
Yeah.
So I've done that where it's like super intense. Like you have to be really committed. And then I've like done like absolutely nothing at times. And I think it took me to almost 30 years old to find that balance of like, you can do both and live your life and be happy and be healthy.
Yeah. I had this crazy idea back in high school. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and look like Dwayne Johnson. And let me tell you, like, so back in high school, I would shave my head, and just because, football practice, and it was just so much easier to work with. So people confuse me, like, are you military, or are you just like, you do look like Dwayne Johnson? So I was like, oh, thank you. So that was my crazy goal. But then as I progressed through life, I realized I'm never going to get to that point because he has like 4 hours of time to just work out. So it was like that. And then also it's like, I'm just getting more comfortable with how my body is. Like, I'll make it better. I'll always like keep it upkeep. But as far as like, going to those extremes, I'm like, I'm okay with that. I don't need to do that.
Yeah. I really just go on a carnival ride,
Yeah.
on a roller coaster ride. But I think I do feel like a real badass when I get to that point where I'm all ripped out and I look.
And you've posted a few pictures where you're like, your six pack is, it's there.
On point.
It's on point. So.
Yeah, and I don't have that right now, and I'm okay with it. And it's summer, and I put on a bikini, and I feel okay. And it is a struggle sometimes, but I think just realizing that that's not. it's not attainable for everyone. And Jessica, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I love you.
Right. Yeah, that's all she does. She's working out and posting pictures of herself flexing in the mirror. I'm just
it is her job.
It is her job.
So
Granted.
there you go. That's point proven.
Yeah.
When it's your job to work out and train people.
Yeah. You have to look at your peak. You can't just train someone and then have like a gut.
But look, she's still working on becoming better every single day. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. Mm-hmm. If you're not making yourself a little bit better, 1% better every day, then you're not. What's the point of living?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's fitness. It could be just mentally. It could be, self-improvement, or it can be working on a hobby or doing something that makes you happy, or self-care or whatever. But just doing a little bit of something every single day makes all the difference. Yeah,
because, singing, are you still doing that? Are you singing to who? What are you doing to continue with whatever you're doing to make you happy?
I wish that I made more time for it, but I have so many other things going on. It really is it's just a hobby. It's just for fun. I like to sing to people because I like people to say, wow, you're a good singer. And that's pretty much it.
So because I realized I could check YouTube for some people's
oh my God, no.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
You still have a YouTube channel and you still have some songs up in there from 2011.
Oh, Lord.
So, okay. So
you really dug deep for that one.
I did. But some of those got 100+ views, which I've only, has someone that has a podcast that's only been doing this for you'll be episode, I believe, 53.
I have 48,000 views on one of my videos.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
That was fresh out of high school. And you know what's the dumbest thing is that I could have made money off of that because YouTube asked me to do ads on that video. And I was like, what's this? I'm not going to do that. And now.
We were just talking about that downstairs.
I know. I didn't have the whole entrepreneurial spirit when I first got out of high school and went into college, I guess. But yeah, if I would have taken that on, I really think it was my stupid title of that video that got me all those views.
You put a lot of, if I remember correctly, it was, you sang a song and you just put cover. So I think
I put Nicki Minaj bottoms up verse by a white girl. Looking back on that now in our current state,
you do not do that.
Probably shouldn't have called that out.
No,
but it got me a lot of views. Yeah. Things were a little bit different back then, but I think I'm a little more politically correct now.
I think we have to be.
Yeah, you do.
But so when I saw that, and then you were talking about that time, again, sorry to backtrack a little bit more, but you were talking about before you started with your parents' work or your parents' business of Raindrop, did you ever think I could use this to did you have this crazy idea that some big studio producer is going to find your YouTube video and you're going to become a star?
No.
Or were you just doing this for fun?
Just for fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was really young, I wanted to be a singer. But as I grew older, I realized what comes with that, and that's not a life I want to live.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to handle it. I love the spotlight and I love attention. I crave attention. That's probably one of my biggest weaknesses. I will sit here and talk about myself all day long. And it's an honor to be on your show. Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you on.
It's an honor to be on your podcast. But any opportunity that I can talk about myself, I'll take because it's my poison. I love to talk about myself because I'm a really cool person.
I mean, just thinking we've talked a little bit over an hour officially, but just thinking back to the whole hour we've talked, you've gone through quite a journey. just to get to where you are right now.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I think about my life, I think about how easy it's been.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking at it that way, yeah, I've gone through a couple things, nothing in comparison to a lot of people, but really, I think the best thing about me is that I always try to stay positive, and I always try to uplift other people. I know we're going to talk about social media, and I know that you personally have a kind of a negative feeling about social media in a lot of ways.
There are times where it's like, so, my 50th guest, Alex, who is, he has to, he kind of has that negative view of social media because, you think back to people that would just post I had a great sandwich. And then, but now there's a whole market for that. And it's grown so much since then. Again, Alex, if you're listening or watching, I don't know if you are, but, if you are, love you, buddy. But no, it's, I think that social media can be fun. It can be, but just like any other addiction, it can get bad quickly.
Yeah.
So it's.
Well, what you just said, that's not a big deal. The thing that's really bad about social media is how easy it is for people to think that that's real. When people post pictures of themselves with their significant other and they appear to have a perfect relationship, and they post pictures of themselves in the perfect pose and they look perfect, their body looks, like straight out of a magazine or whatever. That's what causes the negative things on social media, negative feelings towards social media, because you look at that and you start comparing yourself, and you think, oh, I wish I had what they had, but you don't know what their real life is like. Yeah. And I was thinking about this a lot because I knew you were going to ask me about it. And I think the way to have a good outlook on social media is to look at who you follow. Because if you follow like Kylie Jenner and like a bunch of, now this might be more of like a feminine thing, but if you follow a bunch of Instagram models, you're going to log into your Instagram, start scrolling, and that's all you see, and you get it in your head that you're inadequate, or that you don't look good enough, or that you don't have a perfect life, or that you don't have enough money, or whatever it is. But if you follow a bunch of people that are like self-love and like body positive and entrepreneurial, and people that post like business-minded things, and that's what you see when you scroll, that gives you a good positive outlook versus looking at all this crap that's not real.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do on my page, on my social media. I post both. I'll like I said, off air, I don't really wear makeup that often, and I'm not afraid to post a video completely naked faced. Like, that's who I am. That's me. I don't have to be all done up. And that's huge for social media and my followers and my sister, my little sister.
You have to be a role model for her.
Yeah.
As she enters into adulthood.
And to know that you're beautiful just the way you are. You don't have to put anything on your face. You don't have to pose a certain way. Yeah. And I think that's what makes, if there was more realism, more reality on social media, that would give a whole different aspect of it versus the negatives that you draw from it.
And again, like, yeah, I now view social media as more of like a tool, when it comes to
and
like,
that's what it
pushing
should
the
be
show.
for businesses.
Yeah. Exactly. Because like a lot of small businesses, it's like, let's say in this Portland area that, a food cart, it's like they depend on social media to like get their stuff out there because it's cheaper.
It's free marketing if you do it right.
Exactly.
I mean, you can boost stuff, but
it's mentally taxing though. It's just like, oh, how do I get this going? But
I can help you. I love social media. I think because it's a place to be my authentic self.
Yeah. So, you mentioned liking the attention. when it comes to posting your most recent, like let's say last month of photos where you are, you're showing that your body positive, you're working out, or you're not working out, but you're just showing the results of your workout. Now, when you post, like, let's say a photo of you in your sports bra and you're showing off, your six pack, do you think about like, I'm also representing my family, and also because you have a family to represent your own, not like your mom, your dad, but like, do you think about that? And also, like, how much do you weigh in, like, there are people that will see this and then they will make inappropriate comments towards you because of, you're an attractive woman. I'm never going to knock that, but it's like, you're an attractive woman in your sports bra posting photos. Like, do you think about that?
I block people daily.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't do that shit. Like, if somebody says something to me that goes beyond like, wow, you look great. If they say something like, so sexy. No. I have a family. I have, I'm in a happy relationship. I might give them a warning if it's somebody that I have some sort of relationship with. I'll be like, please don't post that on my stuff. But if I don't know them, I instantly block them. It's not for me. Yeah. That's not where I'm at in life. I'm not looking for that. I don't care to see it. I just block them right away because I don't get anything out of it like I used to. Like, how I told you that back when I was like up to 22 or whatever, that I handled relationships and stuff differently. I like really liked that kind of stuff. Like, I craved that kind of attention, but now I don't need that anymore. I feel good about myself without some random man on the internet telling me that. Yeah.
But if it's like, let's say Jessica saying you look sexy.
Oh yeah, I'd be like, thanks girl, love you. That's fine. If it's a friend, even if it's a guy friend, it doesn't bother me. Okay. And Mason's really good about that kind of thing. Like, he's not really bothered. Like, we trust each other a lot, and it doesn't do anything to our relationship. And we've also been together for 7 years. So
there's a good, level of trust and comfortability there.
Yeah. Well, neither one of us are going anywhere.
So touch base real quickly. So you mentioned Jessica Ashman, who was a guest on the show, I think around maybe teens. Like, I can't remember exactly which episode, but
I think it was pretty early on. I listened to that one.
Yeah. And, which was like awesome to just get her on, talk to her about her business. I think when you ran into her back in April of 2019, and then just the fact that like you two worked together, what was that kind of, client and employee kind of employer, I guess, like trainer, yeah. How was that dynamic?
Good. It's funny because Jessica was really like immature and like a cute little girl in high school. Now she's like That's a grown woman with a business and a house. Like, she's killing it. She's owned her own house for like 8 years or something. Like, did you know that?
I knew like I think when I talked to her last was like still around the time that her episode was released, and I think she said that she like at that time she was at the she went through breakup. She was still trying to figure out like how her living situation is. I didn't know she was in her house.
No, she has owned her own house by herself for years.
Wow.
And way before, I still haven't bought my own house. Mason owns our house that we live in.
I'm in an apartment, so
I wanna buy my own house. Yeah. She did that early on. Smart, because now the market's crazy, and she probably doubled her money just with that. But anyways, yeah, she really grew up, and I respect her so much. She not only physically but like mentally, she just really works on herself constantly. And she's such a good role model. She's such a good cheerleader, and I love how she does online clients like I was. She just she really supports you and like just cares so much. She just really wants to help people be better. And that's my whole thing too. I just want to help people be better, and so her and I get along awesome. I love her.
That's great. Like, you can be selfless and just like, I want to see you get to your goal.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't care what it takes, but I will be here every step of the way for you to reach your goal. Like, especially when it comes to fitness, that's hard because food. It's so easy just to eat the wrong thing.
I don't know how I did it right now, because now I just eat what I want, and like I think about when I was tracking macros and stuff, and I'm like, I was really disciplined.
I know, that sounds like so much work. This is like, I gotta log all this in. I was like, why? You should enjoy yourself. Like, I watched what I ate when it came to like a few spurts here or there. Like, I went low carb, low sugar. I did paleo in college, but I was just like, now like I'll try it, but I'm just like, I don't want to.
Well, speaking of low carb and low sugar, since you're talking about that, I might as well do a shameless plug.
This is what we're here for, guys. This is what we're here for.
So, obviously, I've been in the keto realm for 4 years now, and I've done the keto diet, which I think a lot of people have negative feelings toward it because they think it's like butter and cheese and all sorts of bad stuff. But clean keto is like nuts and seeds and avocado and green vegetables and healthy fats and stuff like that. And it's really good for your body. It's our native state. Babies are born in ketosis. Did you know that? When they're in the womb, they're in ketosis.
Is this where the phrase keto diet came from? Ketosis?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. When you're in ketosis, the keto diet puts you into a state of ketosis. And for the last 4 years, I have slang ketones. I'm a keto dealer. So I have this drink that puts your body into a state of ketosis within 59 minutes. You don't have to do the diet. You just drink the drink. It gets into your bloodstream and it puts your body into that state. You can either get energy from glucose or from ketones. So naturally, naturally you get energy from ketones. That's, like I said, that's our native state. That's the way we're born. That's the way we could be forever if we never ate carbs and sugar.
Yeah.
But the American diet has us all running off of glucose, and ketones are a better fuel for your body. So I drink ketones twice a day at least, and they make me feel really good, better mood, more energy, better sleep, better skin, better focus. That brain fog goes away, and it really helps with muscle retention. A ton.
Really?
Like if you work out, okay, let me give you an example. We're talking about my working out and how I haven't been going as hard lately, but I can still like do the same reps and like do the same exercises as I could before because my muscles are still intact. I haven't, when you stop working out and you don't eat as well, how your muscles like go away really quickly. You're like looking in the mirror like, where'd you go? I just had a six-pack.
What happened?
Yeah. So with these exogenous ketones, endogenous are the ones that your body creates naturally. Exogenous are the ones that you drink or that you take in from an outside source. So with exogenous ketones, they really help with muscle retention and with fat loss. And really my whole goal is just to make people feel better. I've literally seen people change their lives from this product. And that's why I continue to do it, is because it gives me that joy. It gives me so much happiness seeing somebody, be a better mom to their kids or like lose that weight for their wedding or whatever it is. It's not a weight loss product.
It's weight management.
It does so much more than that. But really the main thing is fat loss.
Fat loss. Okay. And that's how you want it to be pushed out. It's a fat loss thing. Yeah,
because I hate the scale. I don't own a scale. I don't get on the scale. I don't know how much I weigh. I don't give a what.
You can curse on this podcast, by the way.
I don't give a shit.
There you go.
When I'm training and I'm like, I have a goal or whatever, I'll get on the scale just to measure. But the scale is a dirty liar because you can be gaining muscle like a mother trucker and you can be like, getting all ripped out and you haven't moved a single number on the scale.
Yeah, that can be very discouraging.
So discouraging for some people. They'll message me and be like, I haven't lost a single pound. I'm like, okay, how are your pants fitting? Oh, well, I went from a size 16 to 12. Oh, really? And how do you feel? Well, I feel really good. I have a lot of energy. I'm like, How when you look in the mirror, do you notice anything? Yeah, I notice my stomach. Then throw away the freaking scale. Like, what are you thinking? Like, it's not to them like the number on the scale is a total dictating factor, but it's really not. The scale is a dirty liar.
It's a dirty liar.
Muscle preservation, muscle retention, fat loss. That's why I still do that.
So for your business, Fit and Pretty Biohacking Co., is that your slogan?
That's my company. That's my company name, Fit and Pretty Biohacking Co. When we drink ketones, it's called biohacking. You're hacking your body.
Yeah.
You're hacking your biology. And
not hacking a lung. You're hacking like a computer guy hacks into another computer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
You're making your body go into a different state than it's in because you go from utilizing glucose for energy to utilizing ketones. And I came up with that name at the very beginning. It's just stuck.
Yeah.
And that's my company name.
It's just crazy for me that, like, you know, people that are my age, I've left the middle school, high school with, you know, obviously in adulthood, they're going to do things that are, you know, crazy and awesome. You having a business, you one of the, you know, few people that I have had this long-term, you know, connection with that own a company, and they're running it and they're having fun with it. I'm just like,
yeah. Well, I'm an independent promoter for the company Prove It. Prove It is the ketones that I sell. And I obviously, as you know, I have a full-time job, so it's just it's like my passion project. Yeah. I just love making people be better, however that is, whether that's with more energy throughout the day, or being in a better mood for their spouse, or, you know, being able to run after their kids or their grandkids.
Yeah, longevity.
Yeah.
Longevity and healthiness. That's what you push.
Yep.
That's awesome. And so, Torrey, you know, I feel like I really want to talk to you forever, but, you know, I like to end my interviews by asking a couple hypothetical questions from this packet of 170 questions. You probably heard about this because you've listened or watched a few episodes.
I must not have heard the end.
Must not have heard the end. Also, thank you for, you know, listening in and watching in. That's, I never know really, like, I can see the numbers, but to like finally like put some faces to those numbers.
I subscribed.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Of course.
So my first hypothetical question to you, and it kind of ties in with, like, you know, you do have a business, but if you won the lottery, what would not change? What would stay the same if you won the lottery?
Oh my gosh, the first thing I think of is like all the things I would change. What would
See,
not
a twist.
change?
No worries. Oh, there it is.
I might not still work. I might not still run my family's business. I probably would train someone up really, really well and pass on the baton.
Yeah.
Just because that's not like, like I said, I have a lot of pride in it. I care about it a lot, but it brings me a lot of stress because I care so much about it. And it's not my passion. And so what wouldn't change is, oh my gosh, my stomach is growling so much. What wouldn't change is me doing Prove It. In fact, I would probably do that full time.
Okay.
Along with a lot of other stuff. I'd probably still, I don't know if you know this, but I do event hair. Like I do like wedding hair and stuff like that.
I did see that on your little tagline on Instagram, I believe.
I do a lot of random little things, but that's probably what I do. I just do a whole bunch of things that I love. So what wouldn't change is my family would stay the same. I wouldn't just like be like, peace, I'm a millionaire. Bye. My family would stay the same. My passions, all my passions would stay the same. My hobbies would increase. I would do them more.
Yeah. I think, because I think, you know, money can change a person's characteristics. I think if you stay true to like your values of like, this is for family. I know. Yeah. Same thing for me. It's just like, I think about if I won the lottery, I would pay off my student debt. I would do all this. And then I think for me, what would be the same is just like, I want to, and then going back to like having a job that like is not great, but you have a job, you feel like an adult. I felt like when I got this most recent job, I was like, okay, I can finally like have a living. I can finally like do things and buy things for my brother.
Yeah.
Like I bought my brother tickets to a concert which concerts are coming back. That's super cool. But so like I would do that same thing, just buy gifts for, people that have done big things in my life. So.
Yeah.
So the second question is that, you look fantastic, and you were very much, I wouldn't say like, again, going back to my memory of you back at Cedar Hills, probably have all changed, but if you were a fashion icon and whatever you wore became a fashion trend, what fashion trends would you start? This actually goes back to when we talked about your little sister in high school. So this works out. Look, it all ties in.
Probably sweatpants, suits. Just like my favorite thing right now, like I will literally wear this every day.
Yeah.
Is tie-dye sweatpants outfits.
Wow.
Like with the tie-dye sweatpants, with the tie-dye sweatshirt, like crew neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd make. Everybody would be wearing that, and then I wouldn't feel so weird wearing it all
There
the
you
time.
go. That's awesome.
You know what I'm super into right now?
What are you into?
Tie-dye. Because I don't know if you go on TikTok ever.
I saw yours. I saw your tie-dye.
There are some people that tie-dye on TikTok, and their creations are incredible. Like I'm about to buy all the tie-dyeing supplies just so that I can tie-dye everything because they are so cool looking.
Yeah. Oh gosh, where was I? This I think Thursday, like sometime within the last week, I was walking. I can't remember where, but I was walking with girlfriend partner, and I saw this store that just had all tie-dye in it, like all tie-dye kinds of like things. I'm just like, hearing that now, I'll see if I can find it. I'll let you know. But
was it in Beaverton?
I think maybe Beaverton. No, yeah, I think it was Beaverton. I think this was on a Wednesday. So yeah, I'll see if I can find it again. But yeah, I was just thinking that now. I was like, that would fit perfectly for you.
Yeah, but I want to make my own. I don't really care to buy anybody else's tie-dye stuff.
Oh yeah,
I'll make my own tie-dye stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the designs are like ingenious. They're so cool. They're so pretty.
Yeah.
That story, random. Like I will never stick to one thing ever in my life. I will always be doing whatever I want to do in that time period.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mason makes fun of me because I went to school to be a makeup artist, and I finished, and then I never did it. In fact, I ended up doing wedding hair instead. So now I do that on the side. And then like I'll like start doing beading. Like I'll like start making bracelets and necklaces and rings and wiring and stuff like that. And then I just stop.
You should get an Etsy, or I think Etsy's a thing where like they sell. Yeah, you should do that.
But there's no shame in starting a hobby, loving it, and then stopping it when you're done with it.
You don't want to get burnt out on it.
I just think life is meant to be lived and meant to have fun, and you might as well try as many things as you can. So never let anybody tell you like, oh, you never stick to one thing.
Yeah.
That's because you like to try different things.
Exactly. So that seems like a great note to leave on. But before I officially end this, but Torrey, where can the people find you on social media? Since we did talk about that for a little bit, you are obviously on social media. Lead them to where they can find you.
On Instagram, I am at Torrey Loves You, TORREY loves you. Facebook, Torrey Henderson.
TikTok,
TikTok, I'm just Torrey Henderson.
Okay.
All one word. TORREY.
There's that musical
Torrey
flair.
Pine Tree in California. It's a weird spelling.
Yeah, you gotta have that, extra. I'm learning also to spell things out and like talk slower, because I have to spell out like my website or any other thing I want to push, because I realize people aren't always watching this on YouTube. They can't see it. They have to be able to spell out. So thank you.
Luckily, Keoni is exactly how it sounds. Spelled exactly how it sounds.
There's some people that put a Y in there. They think key opening a door. So you'll be surprised.
Yeah. Conlu too is exactly how it sounds.
Yeah. Torrey, thank you.
LOO. Sorry.
No. CONLU.
LEO?
as LU.
Oh, shoot. I was wrong. I thought it was just LU.
CONLU.
LU.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was right.
Okay.
I was saying unless they thought it was LOO,
Oh.
which
No.
would be silly.
If they thank you, fans, for watching the show. I'm not gonna say anything else. Torrey, thank you so much for coming on. I know Sunday, it's always a day where you want to get things going, so thank you for taking time traveling a little bit to come reconnect.
Of course. I appreciate you having me on. Seriously, like it's a real honor. Thank you
So much for sticking around until the end of the episode. If you like what you heard or watch and would like more episodes from Keoni Chats, the show can be found on all podcast platforms and YouTube under Keoni Chats. If you want to keep in the loop on other creative content releases, you can follow KC Media on Instagram and Twitter under KC Media 13. And then on Facebook, it'll be under Conlu K Media. So if you'd like to be a guest, email me at kcmedia13@yahoo.com. Tell me your story. I'd love to get you on the show. So until the next episode, everyone, please take care.